Hello everyone and welcome to AJCAD's webinar, Prefabricated Timber Steel Roof Paneling and Framing in Revit. My name is Eve and I'm an architect and a BIM consultant at AJCAD. Specific topics that the webinar will address include automatically create individual roof panels according to any architectural roof shape, simplify roof panel layout planning, roof splitting, and more. Create prefabricated timber and steel framing for roofs in Revit models. Define detailed multi-layer timber and steel roof framing in a snap using fully customizable rules and templates. And finally, automate shop drawings, including sorting, tagging, dimensioning, and scheduling of all frames. Wood framing and metal framing software range benefits from design to analysis, documentation, fabrication, and finally, construction. Panel layout is a powerful solution for prefabricated roof panels in Revit. It enables easy roof panel planning and splitting into segments for prefabrication, which can then be used in the roof framing process. It automatically generates a panel layout planning for any architectural roof. It uses predefined rules to draw symbolic lines, indicating the future panels, and then creates real Revit roof panels. These roof panels can later be framed using wood or metal roof panel frame. Prefabricated roof framing can include rafters, battens, valley joists, roof boards, and etc. And then there is roof panel frame. So roof panel frame enables quick and easy creation of prefabricated wood and steel framing for roofs in Revit models. Powerful features simplify creation of roof joists, battens, valley joists, roof boards, and more. The software automates shop drawings including sorting, tagging, dimensioning, and scheduling of all frames. So the workflow would be like this. Roof panel frames prefabricated roof panels. Roof panel layout automates panel layout planning for architectural roof based on predefined rules. The software draws symbolic lines that indicate the shape and location of future panels, and then it creates actual Revit roof panels that can be framed using either wood framing, prefab roof panels, or metal framing, prefab roof panels, roof panel frame software. So, okay, now we can go ahead and start the live demo. So I have already opened a Revit project, and as you can see, I just have an architectural roof modeled in my project. And first of all, what I need to do is I need to split this roof into prefabricated panels that can be framed using our framing software. So for that, I'm going to use roof panel layout. Okay, so I'm going to start from panel layout planning. Right now I have this menu open where I can create the region layout, panel layout, settings, and so on. So I'll go to region layout settings, and right here I can predefine my splitting rules. I can split by openings, and I can even split panels at once so that I would need to split the region and then split panels. I can do everything at once, and you'll see those panels in a minute. So I will use symbolic family for layout lines. And also, I will not split right now by valley ends. I will also automatically split the panels, and I will use this split spacing also for my all panels and for my first and last panels, and I will split from the end. Okay, I will save it. And now I can just either create a layout for every and each of one of my roof faces by a different rule, let's say, or I can just click on create region layout for the whole roof. Then it will create the layout for the whole architectural roof. Okay, and I can see that the layout is created. So the red symbolic lines indicates the regions and blue symbolic lines indicate the panels. So right now I created that panel layout, but of course a lot of times, if not always, we will need to make some additional changes to that layout. So that is why it's not split yet. It's just a layout. I still have my architectural roof that is not splitted, and now I can manipulate it. So for example, I can see that I'll need to join these panels because obviously this is too small. So I can just use join regions and panels, and I will just join these. And what else can I do is I can join this one. Okay. And I actually also want to modify my panel layout on this roof face, because I want it to be split by the valley. So for that, I will maybe delete this from just this one face, and I will turn on the split by valley ends. And I will create the region layout only for this roof's face now. And it's created. Also, I want to join something right here because even though the symbolic line was created for the valley, but I don't need this panel line right here, so I'll just very quickly and easily join. Also, I don't need these regions. Okay, so I've made two regions right here, and I'll just modify the layout a little bit because, as you can see, maybe this panel is a little too big and this one is too small. I want them to be consistent, so I will modify this layout. Okay, the spacing is correct. Okay, now it's split by that spacing from here, and also I will modify this one. Okay. Okay, it was slightly modified as well. And now I just would like to align these two layouts. So I'll just use align layout lines with other element, and now it's all nice and tidy. Okay, everything is correct, I think. And now when the layout is created, we can split this roof. So actual Revit roof panels would be created. And for that, I will leave this menu and go to the create and create roof panels for the whole roof. And actually, I just noticed that I forgot this little roof right here. So I will very quickly go back and I will create only regions for this roof because I don't need to split it with panels. It's very small. It's enough to split it by regions. So I will use this one. Yes, and that's it. Now I have these symbolic lines on my small roof as well, and I will create panels for the whole roof. I can do that by face, but I will create them at once for the whole roof. And that's it. As you can see now, I have my roof splitted into actual Revit roof panels. And I'll do the same for this small roof that I have right here. And it was split as well. Okay, so now I will go to my view that I've created for framing. And as you can see, this building has its walls already framed, but the roof was not framed because I just split it yet. And here, as you can see, again, I have my splitted roof, and now I can start framing it using roof panel frame or metal, using wood roof panel frame or metal wood panel frame. So for this roof, I will use wood, but the same can be reached with metal. And in the end of the webinar, I will show you a project where the same things were done with metal. Okay, and right now, first of all, if some of you are already using our wood framing wall plus or floor plus, you will know this workflow because it's very, very similar. We just have to create a roof structure in Revit. We have to define these layers, which will be framed later. So as you can see, this roof is created with a structure layer for the main joists and rafters. This is created for the sheeting. This one is for secondary frame, and this one is for the battens. But maybe we'll see. We'll take a look at the roof link now. And in the roof link, we can say what configuration do we want to add to each structure layer of our roof. So to my structure layer, I will add the main frame and I will use this configuration. And to my secondary frame layer, I will add this configuration. And to my batten layer, I will add this configuration. Okay. So first of all, before using the software, of course, we'll have to load families and schedules, and all structural framing families will be loaded into the software, as well as structural connection families that will be used for framing our models. So I'll just very quickly go ahead, and these schedules will be loaded, and the structural framing families will be loaded as well. And now let's go to the framing configuration. And right here we can create configurations for the main frame, for the batten layer, secondary frame, for roofing layers. We can create all kinds of configurations for these layers. Also, we can set the main type of joist that will be used, the main type of rim joist, and all of these different settings. And these configurations can be created and saved by your own name so that they can be used in your future projects later. So basically, you just need to create all these rules. You need to set all these rules only for the first time when starting using the software, and later you'll be able to use it on your future projects, share it with your colleagues, or even maybe put it on a server where all your colleagues have access to. So in these configurations, you can predefine the main types of elements that will be used, elements mark definitions. These values will be written into the families. You can rename everything right here. And right here in the roof framing, we can set the common joist, the spacing for them. Then the same goes for the rim joist, the type and the number of elements, and an offset around the panel, the roof panel. And right here we have opening framing, so we can set different settings for how the openings should be framed. So in this configuration, for example, you can see that one king joist will be added in each side of the opening. This will be the type of the king stud that will be used, and also these configurations for openings can be saved by your own name and used in your future projects. And right here in the header tab, we can select either from the most popular types that we have created, or if you cannot find what you need right here, you can just go ahead, choose custom header type, and create your own header right here, like so. But going back to the header again, we can also rotate it by slope and move it for the skylight. So I'll show you when the panel is framed what this parameter does actually. And right here we can set another header and trimmers. So for example, we can set their position to go from the sill to the header, or another rule. Right here we can set other joists like top and bottom cripples and offset around the opening. So again, when we make changes, we just save this configuration and we make sure that it's used right here. Also, we can create different configurations for window framing. Opening framing is for NP openings, and window join framing is for when windows are very close to each other. And right here we can predefine end connections for the left end of the roof panel and for the right end of the roof panel. We can also add various extensions and set different element types. Right here we can add or not add edge joists, and bridging, nogging, and blocking is for distributing horizontal elements. So right here you can see that I've added a top trimmer right here. I've added from the end, and this is an offset from the end, and I added one element. Right here I added another trimmer by a different offset, and also I added a horizontal board. I added 3 horizontal boards right here. Okay, and I added also a vertical cut will be added. I will use this configuration. So yeah, this is the vertical cut. As you can see, it's added. So we'll be able to see all of that when I will frame the panel. And also we have a secondary joist system, we have bracing and additional elements that can be added later. So when I already have my configuration created, I can start framing these panels. So in my roof link, I set this configuration to be used for my panels. And now I will just select, for example, now these panels. Okay, and I will use frame roof. And now the tool is distributing all those structural framing members into these panels. And don't worry, I will also frame these panels in the corner right here, but for them actually I will need to use a slightly different configuration, and we'll talk about it in a second. Yeah, and as you can see, the software is framing these panels by the rules that I've set in the configuration. The horizontal elements are added and the opening is framed. And as you can see, the header is way up here. Yes, it's way up here. So it was moved for the skylight, as I said in my configuration. Yes, and the connections are correct. And these boards were added. Yes, and also as you can see, this is the vertical cut element that cuts this profile out of the joists so that they would be added on the wall correctly. Okay. And now, what's up with these panels? Yeah, why haven't I framed them? And that is because I don't need these boards to be added on them. I don't need them. So I have to create a slightly different configuration for them. In that configuration, I just have to remove these parts. So actually, I've already done it. I've created configuration like that, and it's this one. So what I have to do is I have to just copy this configuration name and write it into these panels. So I will select them all. Okay, I need to catch it. Yes, like so. I selected all of them. And right here we have a framing configuration parameter, and I will paste that configuration name to these panels. So now the software will read the configuration name not from the roof link, but from that parameter. So I'm selecting them again. Okay, and framing them. And now it's distributing all those structural framing elements by slightly different rules. Okay, and as you can see, they were framed and no boards were used for them. And everything is joined and framed correctly. Okay, and now what can I do is I can add some additional elements. For example, I want to add an additional element for my skylight. So I will use add additional bridging, nogging, and blocking. I will choose these two elements and I will add this element type. I will rotate it by slope. I will not rotate it 90 degrees. I will cut the additional element and add it from the end of this element. I will add also an offset right here, and yeah, the spacing, it doesn't matter because I will add only one element and I want it to be centered. I think that is correct. Okay, and let's see what we have here. And it was added to my opening, so that is why I moved this header in the configuration for my skylight. So now I have this element. Okay, and now what can I do also? I want to add some additional boards to this part of the roof where it meets exterior side. So again, I will select, add additional, again, bridging, blocking, and knocking between these elements. And this time I will add this horizontal board. I will rotate it by slope. This time I will rotate 90 degrees. Also, I will cut joists. I will add it from the longer connected element base, so from the base of the roof, not from the end, but from the base. And I also like to add an offset. Okay, and the spacing for my board is, I will choose actually a different type. I will choose this type, a slightly wider one. And the spacing, let's see, will be a little bigger than the board itself. And I will center it. Okay, I will add it to the internal side. And let's see, I will add 40 of them because I want to for them to go to the very end of the roof, from the base to the end. Okay. Now the software is adding those additional elements between those joists that I've selected, and everything is okay, I think. These boards were added and I'm happy with the result. So now I can continue and add other layers to my roof. Okay. Okay, for example, I can add battens. So for that, I will select, let's say, these two panels, one with the opening, one without, and I will add battens. Okay, the battens were added, and also what I want to do is split the sheeting for my roof. So again, for the sheeting, you can create your own configuration and use it in your future projects. And in here you can predefine the vertical and horizontal sheeting dimensions, the sheeting layout, mark settings, offsets around the openings. Again, you can save it by your own name, predefine connections, use it in your future projects, and so on. So now I've already split the sheeting and I can see it when I turn on the parts visibility. Okay, but Somehow maybe it's under there somewhere. Okay, show original. We'll see it. We'll see it when the assembly is created. Yeah, I set this configuration. Okay, I'll split it again just in case. And now I will use sort structural framing by roof mark. Actually, I cannot use it yet because my roof mark is empty. So I can either go ahead and fill it out by hands manually, or I can use our another tool, sort mark. And with sort mark, you can number most of Revit elements automatically, like windows, walls, doors, and so on. So for this, I will number roofs and I will enter the value into the mark parameter, and I will number these roofs by their IDs, so every and each of them will be different. And I added a calculated sort mark parameter number that is created by the software, and I said that it would start from number 1 and it would have a prefix for roof. And that's it. Okay, and just like that, in 1 second, I renumbered 33 elements. So all of these roof panels. And now when I will select this roof, as you can see, it has a mark value now. So I will use sort structural framing by roof mark. And all of my elements will be sorted by the elements mark definitions set in the configurations. Okay. And now I'm ready to create my shop drawings. So for that, I can go to my shop drawing configuration, and right here in that configuration, I can set all the views that I want to be created and the schedules that I want to be created, and also the sheets. And from now on, actually, you don't have to create these sheets from scratch in every project. And I recently have done a webinar about it, so you can go ahead and check that out. It's about template project functionality for framing software in Revit. So for this project, I already set a template project, so my sheets will be created automatically according to those sheets in the template project. So now I will just go ahead and create the frame assembly. And now it's asking me which configuration do I want to use. So I'll just choose that one. And now the software is creating all these views for this panel automatically. Also, the sheets where the members will be calculated automatically, and in those views we'll also have these elements numbered, sorted, and tagged, and the dimensions will be added automatically, and we'll be able to see that in a minute. Okay, and just a reminder that you can go ahead and write questions, and in the end of the webinar I will try to answer them. Okay, and as you can see, the assembly is created, and it's right here. It's created for the roof panel R60, as you saw for this one. Okay, and right here I have my 3D view created. I also have my assembly section view, my pattern top view, my frame front view, and frame top view. And as you can see, all these elements are automatically tagged, and the dimensions are added automatically as well. I also have frame and sheeting top view. As you can see, the sheeting was split and numbered. And I also have the schedule. So I have my material takeoff, the assembly part list, where also you can see that the framing member mass were calculated. I have a batten schedule, a frame schedule, and I also have a sheeting schedule. And what else do I have is sheets created automatically. So all these views and schedules were placed on sheets according to my template project. Okay, so that is the basic workflow for roof panel frame, and I showed I showed you this demonstration on a wood project, but you can do completely the same with metal. And for that, I have opened a sample project of how the roofs were created with metal software, and you can find actually this sample project and the sample project of the wood panel frame in our eHelp pages. So for metal framing, for wood framing, for example, you'll go to the eHelp, and the same goes for the metal, and you'll find sample projects right here. And I have this project open for metal. So as you can see, first of all, we create a roof panel layout. We plan that layout and add it on top of our architectural roof. And then we create panels with roof panel layout. So actual Revit roofs are created by that layout. Then we can frame these panels by all kinds of different configurations. So for example, you can see that this roof was framed using metal structural framing families. And here we have a different configuration and another one. So just go ahead and check this out. And also, as you can see, assemblies were created. So I can see that the views were created automatically and dimensioned, and also these views were put on a sheet by the template project. And another panel, the same for another configuration. Okay, so that would be the basic workflow of wood framing prefab roof panels, metal framing prefab roof panels, roof panel layout, and roof panel frame tools. So I encourage you to go ahead and download a free trial, and you can do that by visiting agcad.com and downloading tools for BIM doc. So you'll just choose a version for your Revit and go to the store, My Tools, select Activate for Installed Product, press Get Trial, fill the form with your personal data, and you'll get an activation code. So thank you very much for all of you that attended this webinar. I hope it was beneficial for you. And if you have any questions regarding our framing software, just go ahead and write to us or directly to me, and I will try to help you. I will try to answer all your questions.